What's up, T&B Youth Group? I hope you are having a great Wednesday so far, or whatever day that you're watching this. So, a couple things I want to let you know about. The first one is this coming Sunday, when we would normally have our youth group Zoom hangout. We are not going to have that this next week. Since it's Memorial Day weekend, I wanted to make sure and set that time aside for you to be able to spend with your family. The second thing I wanted you to know about is our summer intern will start this next week. And most of y'all know who it is, but it's going to be Landon Parks. And I know Landon is really excited to get to be with you guys and spend the summer with you. And hopefully, as we get into June, we can start doing some youth group hangouts and start to do stuff together. So be staying tuned and looking for more information coming out about that. But I'm excited to have Landon to spend with us this summer, and I hope you are as well. Well, last month, Rachel and I celebrated our 8th wedding anniversary. And one of the things I did to try to make it special is I made a video of old pictures and videos, kind of documenting our marriage together that we could watch together. And some of the video on there was our wedding ceremony. And as I watched that, I'm still amazed today that Rachel chose me as her husband. I've always felt like I've married up, that I've married out of my league, that she's someone better than I deserve. And so I'm amazed as I look back that she wanted to be married to me, that she would choose to love me. And now after 8 years of living with me, and she knows me even better, she knows all my flaws and my annoying habits, and she's seen me at my worst. She still chooses to be with me, and she still chooses to love me. And that's something that I'm honored that she chooses me to be her husband, that she chooses to have a relationship with me. Well, we're going to continue our series that we started last week for Wednesday nights, looking at the miracles of Jesus. And I think looking at the miracles of Jesus is something worthwhile because it helps us understand better who Jesus really is, and also what his purpose is, what he came to do. Because Jesus is one that he came to heal the sick, to mend the broken, to set the captive free, and to bring the dead back to life. And we see that in these stories that we're going to be looking at, these miracle stories. But I believe that's still what Jesus wants to do in our lives as well. And so I think these are worthwhile stories to look at. So the one we're going to look at this week is Jesus is calling some of his first disciples. And we find this story in Luke chapter 5, verses 1 through 11. So I'm going to read the whole story for you guys. Luke 5, 1 through 11. One day, as Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret, the people were crowding around him and listening to the word of God. He saw at the water's edge 2 boats left there by the fishermen who were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put out a little from shore. Then he sat down and taught the people from the boat. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into deep water and let down the nets for a catch." Simon answered, "Master, we've worked hard all night and haven't caught anything, but because you say so, I will let down the nets." When they had done so, they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So they signaled their partners in the other boat to come and help them, and they came and filled both boats so full that they began to sink. When Simon Peter saw this, he fell at Jesus' knees and said, "Go away from me, Lord, I am a sinful man." For he and all his companions were astonished at the catch of fish they had taken, and so were James and John, the sons of Zebedee, Simon's partners. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you will fish for people." So they pulled their boats up on shore, left everything, and followed him. So Jesus is teaching crowds, and he's at the Sea of Galilee. And there's so many people that he gets into one of the boats, a boat that belongs to Simon Peter, and he teaches from the boat as the crowd stand along the shore. And after he's done speaking, he turns to Simon Peter, who has been fishing all night long. He's a fisherman. He and his companions are cleaning their nets after really an unsuccessful night. They said they weren't able to catch anything. And Jesus asked Peter, he goes, hey, let's go out to deep water and let's cast the nets out again. And I don't know what Peter was thinking at that moment. Maybe he's thinking, who's this guy? He's not a fisherman. How does he know better than us who have fished all night unsuccessfully? We do know Peter. He's probably heard some of Jesus' teachings. We know from the other Gospels that Jesus miraculously healed Peter's mother-in-law of a fever. And so Peter, maybe he has this respect for Jesus as he realizes he's this great teacher. Maybe he's a prophet or one sent from God. He has miraculous powers. And so maybe because of his respect for Jesus, he goes, okay, because you ask, I will go out and try to fish again. And once they go out and they put their nets in the water, they catch so much fish that Peter has to call his companions over to help them pull the nets back into the boat. And it says once the fish are in the boat, it filled up both of their boats, and the boats were starting to sink. So this is more fish than Peter has probably ever caught in his life. And when you think about that, Peter was a fisherman. He probably learned it from his father. This would have been something he did his whole life. And now they catch more fish than he had ever experienced. And Peter's response, I think, is very interesting. That Peter, at this moment, he doesn't think, wow, I have a new fishing partner now. Bring this guy along with me and we can make a lot of money. No, rather, once he sees Jesus' power, he is amazed. And he realizes who Jesus is, that he is not just an ordinary man, but he is one sent from God, that he is maybe the Messiah, the Christ, or the Son of God. And it says that Peter falls on his knees and he says, go away from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man. You see, once Peter realized who Jesus was because of the miracle, he felt unworthy to be in Jesus' presence. He felt unworthy to have Jesus in his boat. And he says, I am a sinful man, that I am a simple fisherman. I'm flawed and broken. I've made mistakes in my life. Sometimes I have a big mouth and say things that I shouldn't. I am unworthy of you, Jesus. You should not want to be with me. And Jesus' response is awesome, because Jesus doesn't listen to Peter and go away, but rather Jesus says, don't be afraid, but I want to make you a fisher of men. That Jesus invites him to be one of his disciples, to be one of his followers. And Jesus, he knows Peter is unworthy, that Peter is right. He is a sinful man, and Jesus fully knows that. He knows his flaws and his past mistakes. He knows he's a simple fisherman that sometimes has a big mouth. But despite all those things, Jesus says, I choose you, that I want you as my follower, and I'm going to teach you to fish for men, that I have a greater purpose for you, and I'm going to teach you how to bring people into my kingdom. What an awesome story that Jesus would choose Peter, even though he is a broken, flawed, and sinful man, that he would choose him and the other fishermen to be his disciples. Well, I'm amazed that my wife chose me to be your husband and still chooses me today. But I am even more amazed that Jesus chooses me to be one of his followers. That he has a greater purpose for my life. Even though, like Peter, I am a sinful man, that I am broken, and there's nothing so significant about me that Jesus should choose me. But because Jesus is good, full of grace, he chooses me to be his followers. And the awesome part of this story is not just the miracle, but the truth from this story is that Jesus also chooses you, that he wants you as one of his disciples, that he wants relationship with you. That is an amazing thing, that Jesus, the Son of God, has a greater purpose for your life, and he has chosen you to follow him and to walk closely with him. So what is your response? Will you respond like the fisherman in this story? Will you follow Jesus and embrace this purpose and plan that he has for your life. You guys have a great week. I will see you later. Bye.